So, hello everyone, my name is Mat Ayedi, I'm a data scientist, and today's topic is going to be MLOps. And it's a little bit advanced topic, and for that, we're going to start by the basics through presentation. After that, I'm going to show you the best MLOps platform. But before we start, I want to know a little bit about your level. So, who ever heard about the technical term MLOps? Okay, decent. So, MLOps combines multiple technologies at once. So this series of workshops combines AI, cloud, and if we have a fusion of them on the production level, we are talking about MLOps, how to leverage our machine learning models. So in the previous workshops, you have seen how to build a RAG. You have seen how to build a system based on LLM, but how to make that system works on a production level, how to make that system in continuous integration, continuous development, and expose it to the rest of the world. There are two options. The first option is to build everything from scratch or use multiple open source softwares, and the second one is to use one of the major cloud providers. And here we are talking about Amazon, AWS. That was the major cloud provider on the market, and the tool to do the MLOps is Amazon SageMaker. After a few years, Microsoft got up to the race, and they built their own cloud services, and eventually they released a very mature platform called Microsoft Azure Machine Learning Studio. And the Microsoft Azure Machine Learning set of tools can enable us to build whatever we want. Doesn't matter if you use LLM, you use RAG, you use supervised learning and supervised learning, anything you can imagine building with machine learning or deep learning or reinforcement learning, you can build it with one set of tools. Now, why I like this? Because it's one-stop shop for all your needs. So if I'm gonna ask you now, do you prefer when you go shopping for groceries or clothes, do you prefer to go to a small shop or you go to the mall where you have everything in one place? The mall. Okay.
It depends. It depends on حاجة مش
Okay. That's how tech conversation starts in a company. So somebody will say it depends on something. So if you go to a shop and then you remember that you need to buy another thing, then you need to go to another shop. Then you take your car, lose gas, lose money, lose time, go into traffic, probably an accident, and then, so you create to yourself big liability. That's exactly what happens when you stitch together multiple open source systems. And people forget, because it's free. No, it's not free. You will bring an engineer who's going to be expensive for you and your company, and then even when you build it, you need to maintain it. And you cannot always pay a high salary for your engineer, because the dependency on him will be minimal, but the day something wrong happens, you need to fix it. So most people in the tech industry are cutting up to the AI race, but the failure in AI is plus 80% on the project. And this is what companies are declaring as failure. Why? It's because they build a model, they cannot put it into production, or they cannot maintain it on a couple of months, couple of years, they cannot scale it. So, it's too many bottlenecks, and to evade these bottlenecks, we need something that is mature, easy to integrate, to maintain, and to scale. So, if we put all these tech capabilities into one technical term concerning AI, it will be MLOps. Now, since the workshop I prepared is a little bit advanced, and you need a lot of knowledge before I show you the platform, I'm gonna make you fall in love with it. So, in the tech industry, what is the most on-demand tech skill on the market right now? Go ahead.
MLOPS DevOps Cloud Integration.
Okay, it's one of them.
خاطر توا بالاي تنجم معناها تنجم تكودي اي ابليكاسيون اما المشكله كيفاش باش تحطها الابليكاسيون كيفاش باش
Excellent.
دونك الاوبس ثينج هو
Exactly, that's what I want to get at. It's the ops thing. So one of the highest paid engineers in the tech industry are the DevOps engineers. Why? Because they are the ones that can build your continuous integration, continuous development and deployment to your products. But because of the AI hype, now everybody wants to deploy some AI. And the DevOps engineer does not know the machine learning and deep learning, so they need to upscale. And then we end up with a costly engineer called DevOps engineer, plus cloud knowledge, because not all DevOps engineers know cloud, and machine learning skills, and you put all of that into one profile. Usually they have at least 3 years of experience, and you end up with one of the highest tech paying jobs. Now, in Tunis, that's not very reflected on any field, except you are a physician, gynecologist, or something boring. But if you go to Europe, let's take a good example, because not all examples are good. How much does a DevOps engineer get paid in Germany? Anybody knows?
100k.
No?
How do you know that?
It's the average salary in town.
Not the average, but good companies like Siemens, BMW,
I think فوق ال 100.
Mercedes, they can go to 120.
120.
Maybe 120.
Yeah, 120 is insane money. It's insane money in Europe, because if you go to Tunisians' beloved France, you will end up with 50k or something mediocre, and I will be uploading that video to my YouTube and get banned. So, this is our topic. Now, there are a lot of approaches to do MLOps. For me, in my day-to-day job, I don't do it like this workshop, because I work in a bank, they have restrictions, and now they are making a transition. One of the transitions they are making is to use a good tool, and it takes years to do that, so I'm helping them with that. Meanwhile, we use many other tools, open source, proprietary, things we code ourselves. So this is not a reflection on the entire industry, this is a reflection of what I think is the best. So, the tool is Azure Machine Learning Studio, and in this studio we have amazing stuff. And why I'm praising this a lot, because I started machine learning in 2019, and things were not very developed. So I will not say we struggled, because it's part of the fun. I'm a geek, I love it, I do it. But the tools now are much, much better. So if you log into Microsoft Azure, I'm going to show you how to do the steps. You will find things like automated machine learning. Who have ever heard about AutoML? Okay, we have two. Nice. So AutoML is one of the greatest things ever happened, and one of the things you can do with it is just put your data and it will get you the best performing model without you coding or exploring or do anything. So in 2020, I think, or 2019, I get a small gig with a Microsoft partner, and we were asked to teach people about Azure technologies, and surprisingly, it was here in MSU. Yeah, MSU, not MedTech, not MSU, MSB. And at that time, I thought the university's name it was MSB. So now I'm trying to not fall into that trap. So What we did is we were teaching people how to do automated machine learning. You don't, for example, if you want to predict the fire in California, where it's going to start in which forest, it will take you weeks. But with this tool, it will take you a few minutes. It will run hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of machine learning models. If at every table we put 2 people, and I think we have like 25 tables, the room can have a maximum of 30. And the 30 of you, everybody will run one model. For the rest of the night, you will not outperform 3 minutes of Microsoft Azure compute. And how you do that is by automating the way you learn about these models. So this is the ops part. This is the expensive part, the ops part, how you can do it. If you log into the platform, you will see automated machine learning. One of the other things you will see is the notebooks. You probably know Anaconda, you know PyCharm, you know VS Code, where to code the things for machine learning. They have that online. But the good thing, the best thing about the online thing, they always have the last libraries, the last updates, and you don't need to configure your environment. Before, when I started, some libraries you cannot download because of dependencies, some libraries you cannot find, and it's a lot of hassle. All of that will be shipped away, and you as a data scientist, machine learning engineer, software engineer, startupper, business people, you will only focus on your objective. Microsoft Azure for most projects have a structure. So the cloud we are seeing is your portal, and after that we have a subscription. Subscription is where you actually pay the money. And if you are a university student, almost any university in the world, you have the right for 200 euros or dollars, depending on your region. So,
what if you're not a student anymore?
anymore you can. If you use the 200 for once, you will not get any other, unless you became student ambassador.
أنا كنت student والميل تبلو كمان طبعا نحاول نحل الميل بعد سكرني.
If you open your email address, I think you can get them.
You need to be Europe.
Not really, no, you
I
can be
tested
student.
here, like our.
Then you don't have a partnership.
You need to have a partnership.
The university, most universities have partnerships.
Yes, we are using here locally all the Microsoft services, but I guess we try to access with the student.
I know it's 300.
They block the remarkable steps like
Then you are not allowed to use it. Yeah. Go ahead. Oh yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that. You can have the GitHub student back. I think there are a few other ways to get free credits to use these platforms, and one of them is to actually get certified and become an MCT, a Microsoft Certified Trainer. It's a bit difficult, but they will give you credits every month. And every month you can get certification, for example, in Microsoft AI Associate level, and then you get your MCT to become a trainer of trainers.
By the way, البيرو دومبلوا نتاع تونس كيبدا عندك كونترا سي في بي عندك الحق عاملين بلاتفورم معناها وتترينا معناها فما كورسز فور فري وتعدي الاكزامان بلاش وتاخذ سيرتيفيكات.
I did not know about that, but it's a great thing. Plus you need to be a Microsoft certified trainer, which is another topic. Then you get free credits every month. All the courses are free. And this presentation we are seeing is proprietary to Microsoft, so I cannot share it, and it's from for the MCT. So, for today's topic, we're gonna see this platform. Azure Machine Learning Studio. We're gonna launch this studio, but before that, if you focus with me, you can see the resource group at the top. Under Essential, you can see the subscription, and you can see the keyboard, application insights, and all of these details are a must for you to be able to run your project. So, the most expensive thing about this aspect is the compute. It's because you will not be using your CPU or your local GPU. You will be using cloud resources. And you need to choose that wisely. So for experimentation notebook, you can put something cheap like $0.2 per hour. And you can go to $2 per hour if you use the GPUs and you need extensive compute. And then you can run your model. You can run it in real time, you can do it in batch, and so does the deployment. And then once the model is trained, we have something called inference. And inference is once we have the model, now we're going to use it on the data. And just using it on the data, you don't need a lot of compute. So you will create different compute instances for your use case. This is a small architecture that explains what we have behind the surface. So at the bottom we have an attached compute, and then we have Kubernetes clusters. Who knows what Kubernetes is? Okay, we have one, which is good. In many companies, they don't know what Kubernetes is, and it's an orchestration tool. Who knows what Docker is?
If you know Kubernetes, you can.
Yeah. So Docker enables you to containerize your app. So I'm going to show you an example. I have my wallet with me, and I have multiple cards like everyone to feel important. There's so many of them. And inside, what we can see is different parts. So at the back, I will put the cards I don't really need, like my ID, my driver license, the gym ID. I will just put them like this. So you can imagine this is one Docker. And then I have the money cards, which I use on regular basis, but not as frequent as my access badges. So I will put them in a second Docker. Okay, this is my ID. Obviously, we don't have to mention ID. So.
Yes.
So, and the most two frequent used cards, one is for work and the other one is for my apartment. And I use them a lot, and I will be using them a lot this weekend. So I'll put them in another Docker. And then to orchestrate all these three, what I need is a Kubernetes. A Kubernetes cluster that is going to manage my multiple Dockers. So this is my Docker, and inside, this is my Kubernetes, and inside you can find my managed Dockers. As you can see, it's not an easy topic. So, as a developer, I don't want to forget this, as a developer or a business owner or somebody who wants to focus on the important stuff, we need to shift away this. I don't want the hustle, I don't want the headache, so I will go to a platform that can do that for me. As simple as that. So in the architecture we hopefully see here, all of this is managed for me. No need for Kubernetes engineers, no need for Docker savvy people. I can run everything by myself. Now, we are talking about AI. What is the most important part in AI? You're gonna spoil my work. Okay, the most important stuff is the business objective and then the data, but the data is number one when it comes to tech stuff. So the MLOps engineers need to know how to handle data. And for that, personally, I started my machine learning career to go work as a data engineer to understand how big data is working. And it's kind of very different from being a machine learning engineer. Because if you are a machine learning engineer, you are obsessed with the model. If you are a data engineer, you are obsessed with the data. So,
And if you're a business owner, you'd be...
great question, yeah. Thank you for reminding me that if you are a business owner, you need to pay the others. But in 2020 and onward, business owners need to have some technical expertise because what we are seeing around the world is the failure of most people to jumpstart any tech-related initiative. So they will go take courses. If they take courses, they will go read a book or two. That's not enough. You need much more than that.
هما الأغلبية يكونوا engineers معناها business owners.
That's my recommendation. If you want to be a successful business owner and having a tech aspect, get your engineering degree. Otherwise, you will be competing with people like me in business. And I'm an engineer. You don't want to be competing with me. And I can optimize stuff, I can build stuff, and I've been doing that for years since I was a student. And usually, if we see Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, the rest of the squad, most of them are people who build. If you are a builder, you are an engineer. So please guys, even if you have business friends or you are from business background, do the heavy lifting. The heavy lifting is to actually understand what you are going into. One course will not be enough, one tool will not be enough. A lot of them might help you. And in this diagram, we see how this tool, Azure Machine Learning, from onward we will refer to it as AML, anti-money laundering. Don't confuse it with Azure Machine Learning. It will be connected to the data sources, and the data source can be different from your use case. Some people only use textual data, some people use time series, some people use multimedia, images, videos, whatever. Engineering that is a different skill, and it depends if it's in real time or in a batch. Like I said, I don't wanna do some coding and cool stuff in front of you without you actually understanding what is going on behind this. And then I'll go and share with you the cloud resources I have. This is one of the challenges, and I think one of the boring challenges in MLOps and in production in general is how to configure your project, your environment, your servers, and sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes months, and sometimes it leads to bankruptcy. And I've seen that multiple times. Yeah, it's weird because of those two people go bankrupt. What business people do is they think because they do a routine and they bring somebody who's good at helping them build stuff, it's enough. It's not enough. You need to know the details of the details. So the bank I'm working with, most of the projects in the past have failed because there is no understanding among engineers how to configure the projects, how to configure the environments. And that's the ops part. That's the nightmare part. So executives at the top, they have middle managers and they have Tunisians, which mean engineers. And they've been trying to configure stuff. and they couldn't. So a lot of money was lost trying to do this. So it looks easy to us, and you can ask ChatGPT to give you the code, but in real life it will not help you because systems are complex, and you will be working with multiple teams. I don't talk about startups because startups are very mission driven, very narrow, very niche. They usually work with the latest technology, and it's a bumpy word, and then boom, they fail. They fail because they compete against people who own the market, not because they are not great at the tech aspect. They also fail because
They lack sales skills, maybe. Probably.
exactly you need more than connections, more than tech. You need a lot of resources.
Very flexible business model that would be
Yeah.
up to date regarding what's happening in the market.
Yeah, and then somebody with very deep pocket from abroad
Yeah, obviously.
can run out your business.
It's
So
gonna out-muscle you.
yeah, totally. So in here we are being realistic about technology. I like the hype in the news because it's fun, but when I'm teaching or tutoring or whatever, advising people, I prefer to ground them. Mastering this will not solve everything, but it will definitely save you a lot of money, time, and energy. So I made it sound difficult because that's my objective. Now I want to say on the cloud, on the platform we're going to use, this is abstracted. It's already been done. So you will work directly into the perfect environment and configuration unless you want to change something yourself. So we have abstracted many layers of complications and built a product around simplicity. So our end user, a developer or a business owner, can profit from a cutting-edge tool without the nightmare and the hustle of building things from scratch, configure stuff, build environments, communicate with multiple departments, to have a server, to have resources. All of this was abstracted away with one cloud platform. And when we talk about one cloud platform, we talk about one platform, but behind it there are multiple services linked together. Now in engineering, linking services is an art, because in traditional markets you will have an expert in a specific service, but now we have millions of services. So a good engineer is somebody who can stitch together all these services without being an expert in every single one of them. This is the beauty of PaaS, which is Platform as a Service, offered by Amazon, by Google, by Microsoft, and also in China they have Alibaba Cloud Services. And it's a very good platform, but you cannot use it in Tunis because we are mostly European-oriented market. We cater to the French and the German, which tell us, be good boys. Don't use that. And we definitely are the good boys. So, moving on. If you are a business owner and you have a competition, what you're going to do is to outperform them. My question would be, what will you do to outperform the other competition? Let's say you sell.
We start by identifying the competition. That's like the
I will
baseline.
narrow it down. Let's say you only sell gaming laptops. What will you be optimizing?
Performance.
Design.
Optimizing in what sense?
Minimize cost would be the first thing.
Okay, minimize cost. Optimizing in the sense of what can I do better to outperform my next door competitor in selling gaming laptops? Go ahead.
Quality of service.
For example,
Performance. CPU.
CPU, for example,
Storage.
you sell better gaming laptops with better CPUs. What else?
Storage.
Design.
Storage, excellent.
Design.
Design,
User
Excellent.
experience. User experience.
the user experience.
Go into like a supplemental, like un service annexe, quoi. Like add, I don't know, accessories to the gaming experience.
Great. So we have 10 options. Now, how about a combination of multiple options? With how many options we will end up with?
It's infinite.
Exactly.
So you go. So
You don't know, like the CPU clock speeds can range for a lot. Storage, the same. The UX, everybody can interpret the UX as they like. And if we combine these features and optimize them to outperform somebody, it will take us eternity to go through all these options. We call this in machine learning hyperparameter tuning. And for hyperparameter tuning, you cannot do it manually unless you have some deep business knowledge. This is one of the most extensive, by far, aspect of building a model. Yeah, go ahead.
So we're talking about like feature engineering in a sense.
Research.
It is.
Identifying the attributes of the business in which we should.
It is.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm working with a data set of 600 features
Okay.
for finance transactions.
Okay.
So one transaction has 600 features. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's infinite number of combinations for me to optimize.
Okay.
What I'll do is hyperparameter tuning and control
We're talking
everything.
about XML messages.
Yeah, for example,
Okay. What's the core banking solution?
for me,
Just
for,
curious.
yeah, a general answer would be for me not to go through all combinations.
Is there, are you going for combinations in that sense?
You can, if you have great compute, you can do it. I don't have great compute. My managers would be like,
Okay.
look for another job. So, what I do is use different models to find the best thing in relatively less resource extensive. Unless you are on the cloud. In here, you can tune your parameters with just 3 steps. All of them, there are 5 steps, but really what matters are 2 or 3 steps. And then it will do it on the cloud. If I do it on premises, it will be not virtually, it will be literally impossible. So once again, shipping all the problems away to Bill Gates to solve. This is why we see a boom in AI. People will be like, oh, there is AI, a new AI every day. Yeah, because they use these kind of tools. After that, what we have is the notebooks. So finally, we have understood what MLOps is, what are the cloud services, why this is great, why this is really will change your lives as techies or business people. Now, this is the hardcore part that everybody loves it, coding. You can now finally open your notebook without struggle, without the nightmare of multiple tech stuff that you need to handle, and only one dev can use it. If I don't have this, I need an entire team of entire Scrum team, not a very big team, to support me to open this notebook and do very performance stuff. The last thing, so let's assume you have written all your code. Now let's assume you have written all your code. We still run into the bottleneck of putting that into production. To scale it, to maintain it, and to sustain it, to change it. We still run into those issues. We will see together how we can expose this in a user interface without the hassle of coding everything from scratch. We will start by running a script as a job. So there is a specific jargon to MLOps. We're going to see it. And we're going to see the user interface to navigate between all these stuff. So this presentation is like a support, not the real thing. Of course, we're going to install a few stuff, but I have pre-installed everything. And why? It's because if we build from scratch, it will take us weeks or months. But if we do it on the cloud, it will take us minutes. But for few stuff, if it takes few minutes from here, few minutes from there, few minutes from here, we will run out of time. So just to be cautious of time, I've done everything last night. Today we're gonna just see the result. Okay. Before wrapping up the presentation and going into the cloud, we have covered what is MLOps, what are the platforms that can do it, why it's cool to use, and what are the bottlenecks that we'll be avoiding, and what we're going to see on the cloud. The last thing to be objective is there is a cost to this. This is not free. So every time you execute something, you will end up burning cash. And you need to optimize stuff, not to lose your resources. And by optimization, I mean just the compute. Don't choose expensive compute. Don't keep your machine on when you are off. For cloud storage, there are costs to that, so be careful what you upload, what you don't. And be careful about your credentials, don't share them. And vibe coding, we're hearing about a lot of memes with people losing their API keys.
Yes, right.
Yeah, so it happens, even in Teams it happens, sometimes we push the API key.
One funny thing about vibe coding is like someone is asking like a Reddit, like he takes screenshot about his environments and he said why this button on the VS Code.
Yeah.
And he keep all the public keys.
So let's jump right into it. Famously, Microsoft loved the blue screen. Even on the cloud, they give us the blue screen.
The cloud is crying.
Yeah. So all right. This is what I've been talking about, Microsoft Azure Cloud Services. In here you can search for any service you want, and for us it will be Azure Machine Learning. And it pops up here. What I'm going to do, first of all, there is another step I want to show you is to, when you create your Azure account, then the next thing is to create a subscription. The subscription is where you put your credit card or your debit card if you have euros or dollars. And if you are in Tunis, you can use the card technology. Who knows the card technology?
الماكس مريحة مليون.
Yeah, so $300.
يعطيهم لك جوجل كلاود بلاي.
Yeah, but it's better than nothing.
It's better.
It's a month or a year. So is it you can only buy one things, services, or you can do whatever?
No, books, courses,
You can do anything.
some cloud. That's it.
Let's check.
You cannot buy
You cannot shop online.
no shop.
تخلص LGBT تخلص شوية حاجات.
So in here the current cost is almost $4, and we can go inside my subscription, and I can see where is my cost being burned at. As I can see, it's AML, Azure Machine Learning. Not much for the storage. I'm uploading data, and yeah, you need to create your own subscription. After that, you can use the Azure Machine Learning Studio. So I have this environment open. I think I need to zoom in.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And that's the best looking cursor ever. Who agrees?
Yeah, that's nice.
I'm very creative. So,
That's what, did they just integrate it Copilot or was it this new thing, right? Copilot.
it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but it's bad.
It's bad.
It's almost useless. So, this is the environment I've talked about. I did this last night, and these are the tabs I want to share with you about some parts of the MLOps cycle of services. But let's create one together now. So I'm going to create a workspace, and there is something called naming conventions. For everything you do, there is a specific way to name stuff. We will not respect it because it takes time. We will just create, do it fast. So resource group are called Energy, MedTech. Okay. A resource group is a place where you can put together your services. It's like the wallet example. And what is a resource group? In the back end of a resource group is a Docker image or a Kubernetes cluster. And it's determined by the things that you're going to manipulate inside. I would say it's a Docker. Nobody really knows what they are doing. But even that, if it's a Docker, behind that Docker, it will be a Kubernetes cluster. So once again, we go back to the 3 pockets. They abstracted this from the resource group. Now we can dump what we have into that resource group. The resource group in itself have a workspace. Why a workspace? You can think of it as your university. You have MSU, and under MSU you have MedTech and MSD and LCI and LCI. I get 3 of them, correct? MSH. For healthcare. All right. So our workspace is MSU. And I think most of you are, let's say you are MedTech. MedTech is the resource group. Me teaching this is the service. So my service belongs to MedTech, and MedTech belongs to MSU. This is the hierarchy in Microsoft Azure. Now it sounds a bit too much, but this is just a form to fill. And when you fill the form, it helps you operate the rest of the difficult stuff. I can put it in the US, but it will cost more money, so I'll put it in France because the nearest data center is in France. The account storage is where I'm going to put my data. The key vault is the actual key to your services. Application insight, like I showed you before, where is my cost was burned, like spending $4. And then we have container registry we will not be using. We're gonna configure the internet access. After that, I will show you. For beginner level, just put next, and create. But if you have inbound access, like traffic comes in to your resources, you need to configure it. If you have traffic going out, you need to configure that. For encryption, in here it's easy, just encrypt what you have. If you work, this is a workshop. If you are in a company, you need to select this stuff. Otherwise, you will receive an email and they tell you that you are not compliant, and then you will have issues. Next, identity for us. Also, if you are in a company they manage the identity in differently. So yesterday I was in a meeting with important people talking about how they're gonna manage identities, and you can see how boring that conversation was for me. So that's their job. I'm happy it's not mine. For tags, can be useful if you work on multiple projects and you have multiple stakeholders paying for your project. You need to mention them in here. Finally, we're gonna create. It's validated. We can also download the template for automation. So what we have done now, we can download it and reuse it again without reconfiguring stuff. And press create. You're gonna see something interesting, which are the services gonna be automatically created for you. We have a storage account, which is your database. You did not do anything. It was created automatically for you. You have the secrets management and the key vault. You did not have the security team to do that for you. It was automatically created for you. The application insights. In a big company, they usually have a team called insights and monitoring or something like that to monitor what you are doing. Also, it was automatically created for you. For your internal data, you need analytics, and you will have a business analyst analyzing your inputs and outputs automatically created for you. And this is the beauty of MLOps. What it's in the green, it takes weeks and months and a lot of money and a lot of people to create, and it's automatically created in less than a minute. Now, my Azure Machine Learning resource is created. I'm going to go to it. And this is what I have showed you on the presentation. We need these details to pilot our project. And these details have the workspace, the subscription, the credentials. It's basically what identify your resource. So, to access my machine learning model, I'm gonna have an ID, after an ID, after another ID. If I code this from scratch, it takes forever. It was all done for me at the same time. All I'm gonna do is copy paste now. So, we're gonna launch the studio, and here we are. I think you can read it, and boom. We are in Azure Machine Learning Studio. It's MLOps because it has all the operational aspects. We can create a notebook like you do in Anaconda. This is the AutoML that creates thousands of models for you and chooses the best.
You can use the models, generative AI.
No, it's the most expensive one. You talk about automated ML?
اللي قاعد نحكي اشتقت شوية ده.
Oh, the Gen AI.
Yeah, GPT image one. Can we use that inside of the
Yes.
for free? أنا من غير ما تحط
No.
API بتاع
No, no. You pay for it. That's a good question. There is a partnership. So
Yes, that's
OpenAI, their services on Azure are owned by Microsoft.
okay.
So Microsoft takes the money and takes your data, not OpenAI.
So I don't have to put my OpenAI API key باش
No.
نستعمل.
No.
Hey, that's nice.
It is nice.
It's very nice.
You'll end up paying more.
قد ايه؟
For costs,
أنا مثلا $200 توا اللي عندي بلاش. باش تعمل بيهم حاجة معناها.
yes, you can. If you use them wisely, it can take weeks and months with you playing around. For
مثلا
me,
حسب الأي yes for you.
what?
Yes. نحب نسمع نحب نعرف الاكسبيرينس نتاعك انت قداش تصرف مثلا في الشهر على معلش انا ما عنديش فكره قداش.
Give me a specific use case.
مثلا تصنع موديل جينيريتي ايمجز وتعمل له فرونت اند وتردها ابليكاسيون مع بعض. وعندك مثلا معلش في الشهر 2000 تصوير.
2000 is too much. I will give a dummy number of 300. Maybe if you reduce the resolution, it
Yes.
would be 100. But I usually don't work with generated images. I work with generated text and voice.
which is معناها cheaper.
Very cheap.
Okay.
You can build a big project with just 100 or $500.
عندي سؤال اخر. Is it only exclusive for OpenAI models or you can
Oh, there is
use,
DeepSeek, there is
Gemini?
Claude, there are many models.
Google.
Gemini, yeah. And if you don't find the model, you can go here into Notebooks and install what you want,
Wherever you want.
but with an API key.
Ah, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it gives you all the options, and the number is overwhelming because the service dedicated for generative AI is called Azure AI Foundry. Azure AI Foundry have Azure OpenAI, and you have the AI search in it to use the LLM, and you have prompt flow to prompt your models. There are so many other services dedicated to Gen AI. I prefer to use the notebooks because if you can code, you can control.
Yes.
If you drag and drop, well, that's not politically correct. You can drag and drop. My advice: don't drag and drop. Code.
Yeah, code this. You have more control.
Now, if we talk about MLOps, we talk about the following: 1, data; 2, jobs; 3, components; 4, pipelines; 5, environments; 6, the almighty model; and 7, company's nightmare, the endpoints. The financial department nightmare is the compute. And you can monitor and you can link other services. So if you don't find the service in here, you can link it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the MLOps I was talking about. What you are seeing in this user interface is what we call MLOps. For us today, what we're gonna touch upon is data, jobs, environment, models, and compute. So let's start. And we start from the notebooks. So notebooks in here. I can see my workspace, and this is exactly like VS Code. I have the samples. We're gonna choose a tutorial of like you have in GitHub your fork project. We're gonna fork project. change the source code to apply to our resources. We're gonna start by creating a compute, and this is where we can optimize the cost. I'm gonna choose something cheap, but before that, I'm gonna show you. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you go a bit slower خاطر I'm following along.
Oh, please don't follow.
Don't.
No, because you have this already in the platform.
What platform?
I'll show you. Because these notebooks are pre-made for everybody to use. That's it. Then you create a compute and execute the rest of it. So this step, before this, I will repeat it. We have the code, we want to execute the code, so we need the compute. We're going to create a compute from this button, and we can see the prices. So the CPU in here is one of the cheapest. Where is the rest of the list? Compute name, let's call it MedTech AI. And I have 4 options. One is 0.34, 0.20, 0.24. So usually I will use the BS. It's a long list of compute. I don't see the one I like. I think the compute I want to choose is unavailable, which happens. So the resources we are using, it's like, I think I have a good example. So can you see this? So this is Microsoft data center. And they have rack servers, like a lot of servers. Let's say we are here, where when we create, we want to create something, it's actually in a shared space with other people. So sometimes a service that you want to access is already being used by a lot of others, so it becomes unavailable for you. You need to choose something similar. So when you go to the cloud, especially in serverless compute, the compute that is not dedicated 100% for you, you can lose it. If you want something specific for you that nobody else use a dedicated managed compute or a service. So nobody else will take it from you. Sad, short story, we can choose, let's choose the D4SB3. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM. How many of you have 16 gigabytes of RAM in their laptop? You are a gamer, obviously. Yeah. I have 32.
16 is the baseline.
Yeah.
16 is the...
So who have 32? Okay. Who have 64? Then we are talking about a server capabilities. Now let's check the CPUs. In here we have 4 cores, but if I want something more optimized for deep learning or machine learning for parallel compute, I'm going to go to the GPU and we're going to see things are very expensive. NVIDIA Tesla V100. This is the This week it's what? $7 per hour. So 10 hours, $70, 20 hours, 150. So 24 hours, 50, it's a lot.
معناها كان سواء تستعملوا ولا ما تستعملوش هو قاعد يخدم ياخذ في الفلوس.
You can stop. This is the other aspect maybe I did not touch upon about, which is the hardware. We talked a lot about software, but managing the hardware is one of the most difficult stuff. Now, to share my professional experience with you, I have RAG projects, and they are not like the previous workshop. It's completely different. And in these RAG projects, I finished making them few months ago. I still cannot put them into production because we are dependent on at least 5 other teams. They manage servers, they manage the budget, they manage security, they manage data protection aspects. And the most problematic is how to integrate the hardware with your model. So before they recruit me, they were unable to do that. Now I'm helping them to upscale into production some parts. In few things we are succeeding, in few other things the delay is big. So one of the strategies is to adopt MLOps. It's like, if it's ready, I can push it to prod, I can push it to deployment, I can push it to any hardware. But for us, it's impossible to do that, push to any hardware. The suggestion is, let's not do it on premises, let's put it on the cloud. Let's get away from, so how many laptops we have? Two, that's 6, 8, let's say we have 12 laptops in here. Everybody have a different version, different hardware. How can we, if this is my model, how can I make it run everywhere? That's what companies are facing, guys. That's why these skills are very sought after and well paid. You need to figure out some engineering stuff to make your model agnostic across any environment. It will run in our 12 laptops in here, and it will run in other universities, clinics, banks. MLOps is the key. The platforms you use are the key. So, it's
What do
not,
you mean by agnostic?
معناها ما يشوفش
it doesn't matter the hardware that your organization has. It does not matter the software that you are using. And it does not matter how people are supposed to handle it. It should work seamlessly everywhere, as if we all have the same setup. And that's when engineering gets beautiful, and that's where business people start to have nightmares. Now, I'm going to go back to a very important part, since you are university students, but even professionals are concerned with it. The 33, I think 33% of the billionaires are engineers, learn engineering. If you are a business person, like Jeff Bezos, he learned some engineering at some point to solve this. People don't know that the brain behind this is Jeff Bezos. He was selling books. People don't give him enough credit. They think it's just shopping on Amazon. He and Andy James, which is now the CEO of Amazon, have done this. So always link IT to our human modest life to have a better understanding. And all of this conversation was triggered by the hardware that I'm trying to choose. And it looks expensive. And I'm happy that I'm not choosing. So, in a company or organization in general, as let's say software engineer or business person, you need to make a hardware choice. For the sake of this workshop, we're gonna use something cheap. It's 20 cents. Hopefully it works. Oh, I did not give it a name. So let's call it Jeff Bezos. And hopefully he will watch my YouTube video today and hire me. Can you please check my phone? I think it have died.
No, it's still on.
Huh? Still recording? Okay. I still have a chance at Amazon. So, not to lose your money, put 30 minutes of idle, which means if you don't touch your computer for 30 minutes, it will automatically shut down. That's for user management, I'm the only user, security stuff, network stuff. This is just a workshop. If you are in a company, you need to check all of them and document them. Applications, it's when live. So, we are creating a virtual machine. We are creating a compute, which is a virtual machine, which is found inside the Kubernetes cluster that we don't have managed, and we are happy to do so. But when it runs as like your laptop. So it's like renting a laptop. That's exactly what we are doing. I'm gonna rent my laptop for $1 per hour. So when I open my laptop, I have my softwares, which means this virtual machine I'm creating, this computer I'm creating, can have its own softwares or a script. So I can add applications, which of course I will not add today, or add a script. Like when I open my laptop now, it says, "Hello, Mom." I sent that. If you are working in a machine learning environment, what examples can be? For example, when you open the compute, delete the cache. For example, if you work with Keras, it struggles with cache. I think rebooting the compute will be a good practice to make a script in here to delete the cache. Also, Python struggles a lot with cache. It's an idea. Be creative, but don't feel compelled to do so. Just examples. Next, you can add the team name, you can add the sponsor name, just for organizational stuff, and the tags. So, my machine is called F4S V2 with 4 cores, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and if I don't use it, it shuts down after 30 minutes. I have secure shell connection, no private network, and I have root access. So I'm the admin of this computer. It sounds like it takes a lot, but if you do it yourselves, it will take you, like all the steps I'm explaining now and their benefits, you do it yourself, it will be like 2 minutes.
That's right.
Now we're gonna leave just Jeff Bezos' compute in here for creation, and it's gonna take a while. That's why I prepared stuff in advance. So last night I created a cluster, compute cluster is called MedTech. I stopped it. Oh, I stopped it. I will reopen it. What we're gonna do in here is this. So, it's been exactly 1 hour preparing you for these lines of code. All the explanations, all the technical difficulties, all the solutions are residing here. In here, I will give it all the parameters and it will manage most of the aspects of my project. And since I did it last night, I put subscription ID. So I go in here, I copy the subscription ID, I paste it in here, oops. Now we're gonna, I don't know, just for the sake of you seeing something different. Compute started, okay. I'm gonna copy the resource to and I'm gonna run my first, my first. And have run successfully in 2 seconds. So you don't need an entire team to support you to build something. We have done it in 2 seconds. After that, I'm gonna create my script. This script, it will enable me to run my model. And this is the configuration for what I have showed you on the left. If we talk MLOPS, we talk assets, and we talk manage. All the assets and manage are handled by this code. And part of this code is using MLflow. Who knows what MLflow is? Good. So MLflow is an open source library that manages your machine learning model. So the data, let me show you the data. We have a dummy financial data about the credit card transactions. And we want to predict if a client is going to default on his payment. Who have a bank loan now?
Students on the
Yeah, but your parents.
Yeah.
That's why people go to private university. My parents took a loan for me to go to
أنا
private.
كملت القراية وتنتيك وجوي.
Good for you. I paid for my education.
وين قريت؟
I studied in 5 universities.
Okay.
So which one do you want?
I'm interested. I'm interested في الكارير مالك.
I got my degree from history, but before that I went to 4 different universities. And most people, their parents get a loan. If you study abroad, you will meet students who have student loans.
Yeah.
So I was in the US, my classmates have a loan. And they have a special formula to calculate the default on the loan. So if you are a student, for example, and you take a loan, the risk is higher of you failing to pay. That's what this machine learning model is trying to do. It will check your sex, education, marriage, age, the bills you are paying, and at the end it will predict if you're going to pay in time or not. So if you are a student, male or female, if you are professional worker or young, it will affect the predictability, the ability of the model to predict.
How's that?
For example, if you are 70 years old and you take a loan on a car, there is a good chance that you will die before paying the car. But if you are young, you will have enough years to pay the loan and then die. So that's what the banks care about. And that's the machine learning model we are trying to build. But it's not the main focus of the workshop. The main focus of the workshop is how to control the life cycle of this machine learning model. So we test the data into train and test. We split the data into train and test. And we use gradient boosting classifier. Who knows what gradient is or boosting is or classifier is?
Gradient. Derivative.
Exactly.
Like mathematical.
Derivative. Okay. Boosting. Boosting is when you have, this is guys, this is one of the best things in machine learning concepts. Boosting is when you have an output and you feed it into another input, and the output of the other input should be better, or you should learn from it. So it's sequential. So if I learn this, and then this, I give it to this, the output should be more fine-tuned. I don't know how. There is a pen I can explain on the board.
I don't think there is a pen.
Oh, okay.
We'll get there.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Let's imagine this box. So this is my data, and I'm gonna boost my data. So usually, great, thank you. So this is my data. Usually I would have a classifier, a model classifier. I'm gonna classify, thank you so much. I'm going to classify if somebody who's going to default on a loan or not. So I'm going to put my data into my classifier model, and I have an output. Except this output is not optimal. So what I'm going to do to this output, I'm going to boost it. So I'm going to take this output and put it again in a model classifier. And the output of the model classifier will be another model classifier, etc., etc. You can do it millions of times. And it's intensive for the computer. Then you end up with a final output which outperforms this output. And this is how you can predict default on loan. Default, which means people who cannot pay for the loan. If you calculate all the combinations, it will be infinite. And one of the ways is to multi-thread them. And so when you have a CPU is like one brain. When you have a GPU, you have thousands of brains. And one CPU can do millions, and thousands of CPUs can do trillions. That's the difference between computing on a CPU and computing on a GPU. And that's why we were carefully talking about the compute for our model. So that's what a gradient boosting classifier is. Here we fit the model. So when we talk about machine learning, it's actually these two lines. Fit and predict. That's it. All the conversations in the entire world, then it's just two lines. Fit and predict. So we're going to do something else, register the model with MLflow. So what you are seeing on the left is managed by an open source library called MLflow. What Microsoft have done is they use something open source, make it better with the user interface and make it more professional. And now we are leveraging it with a few lines of code. We're going to run this. My script is saved. And then we're gonna configure other stuff. By the way, 95% of this code is copy-pasted. Microsoft engineers have made that for us. So when you see this code, you only change few parameters, like I did at the top. I changed 3 parameters in there. Yesterday I was experimenting with other versions of the libraries, it doesn't matter. And I changed the name of the key because I called the cluster not there. So I changed 4 parameters. Other things, if you want to change by yourself inside the code, you can do that depending on your use case. So when I'm working in my full-time job, I will take this template and rewrite my use case. Then this code will be, I will reuse like 10% of this code, and the rest I will develop it myself. I want you to understand that it is easy, but it can get difficult. And even when it gets difficult, it's still easier than doing everything by yourself. Now, this is the data that I showed you here. I have downloaded it.
Data pre-processing is gonna happen locally or
On the
I
cloud.
didn't see steps of data pre-processing.
No, we are ingesting directly data without major pre-processing. Because the focus is on the life cycle.
Okay. But actually, like when it goes to production, we need to pre-process the data.
Yeah. This is a dummy example, so even the data you are seeing here is
Yes.
clean.
It's not analyzed.
It's clean, it does not
Ah,
have problems.
But like, we didn't do like, for example, standardization, organization, or maybe,
You can experiment with that.
especially for the learning model, because the gap between the
Yeah,
max and mean is like they can affect it.
definitely. And in here we are using grading boosting. So this is a showcase data for a showcase model. Now, moving on.
I have questions, like,
Yeah.
did you do some experiment with explainable AI? Sharp, lean,
Yes.
what do you think about them? Like, because many people they are talking a lot about them now, and especially for research. Many researchers they are interested in this part. So, like in the production, there is.
I built a model
Yes.
to explain another model using variation of SHAP. And SHAP underneath it uses decision trees. So if you use a gradient boosting is based on decision trees. So when you use SHAP with gradient boosting, which is the example of this workshop, it's native and it will give you a good explanation. To go beyond the normal explanation, you need to spend a lot of time. It can explain point by point, it can explain...
Yes, local or global.
Yes. It can be local, it can be global.
Yes.
And then eventually, I learned how not to even use SHAP. I can build my own stuff with prints or plugins.
Now what I'm doing right now in my research in cybersecurity, like I create a model, just do the classification, and like usually I get the explanation why the decision happened like this. Then like the results like I put it to the large language model, and I apply one of the prompting technique, like a few chain prompting, like chain of thought prompting. Using chain prompting, things like to get the decision, then like they will have a loop to update the model. But
It is a smart idea. But I did not try LLM for XAI.
yes, I'm trying.
I built my own, so I started with a normal SHAP. I used GPT and it helped me build a model, but it can explain point by point and it can explain the entirety of the model. And then I understood how it actually works. When you even have simple decision tree, there are options in scikit-learn to print the explanation. You can go inside of it, it can give you plots. This tree decided this result. Even for random forest. But to fine tune, isolate, and have something that is human understandable, it takes time. So I have a friend, and I remember he was with me here in 2020, and he's doing his PhD on AI for cybersecurity. But the problem is, when he started, it was a hot topic. But after a year or two, it's no longer a hot topic.
You know something on cybersecurity, especially for the network security, we have many problems because the traffic we are dealing with is insane. For example, if I'm talking about university like SMU, the data gets generated by second, we are talking about gigabytes.
Yeah.
And we don't have such model that can handle all this traffic instantly and make a decision about every flow of traffic. So we are trying to.
It's a super interesting topic, and I can give you something similar. So when we are in Hamamet in the last event, there was a girl called Amina. She works on this topic, inclusion in cybersecurity systems, and she was telling me what she's doing. And I work on a similar stuff, which is the SWIFT transaction. So SWIFT is the how banks send the money internationally, and they handle billions. So I built a model that handles the billions of transactions and detect not the intrusion, but the anomaly. It's totally doable. I can't put it online because we don't have the hardware, but it can work in batches. So it can process overnight, and then the other day give it.
But I think the speed, maybe you can process it as a text. But in the network traffic, it is a row of traffic by load of data. So we need to keep up only part of the flow because it's not, for example, we need to be sure the inflow will outflow. We need to combine all this data so we can send it to the model. Sometimes some data they are not going to be responsive.
So the data is multimedia.
Yes, it is not multimedia. I'm talking about the header of the network. So they need to have the B flow, like the directional and directional, leave from the company will finish from the company. So we need to combine both data, but so we can make the decision. For example, we cannot decide only with the inflow or just with the outflow. We need to combine all this data, then we feed it to the model.
In here, it's a challenge of feature engineering because in Swift, if you transact the money through Swift to France, it can go through Luxembourg, Switzerland, and sometimes if you are in a business, it can go through 3 to 5 other banks.
Oh, okay.
It's not direct. There is no one channel of communication. Swift is super complex. If you are in the US sending to India,
I thought it is direct from that bank to the another bank.
no. Actually, the system is very stupid. I can explain to you how Swift works. It's very inefficient. And that's how they control Russia. That's how they control North Korea. That's how they control Iran. That's why Brazil cannot make a currency with South Africa and Russia. They control every aspect of it, and it's not technological at all. It's done. And it's shocking how much billions countries do. You can control all of it. With the models, you can control all of it. And that's what also companies are doing. They are hiring ML engineers to build these models. And it's not as super complex as people might think. It's just if you get somebody who can explain it to you, most people can do it. Just people like me, which are my colleagues, they will not explain anything. Even where I work, they don't explain stuff to me. But